Hey, what's up YouTube? This is my 2014 WR450F. I just got finished wiring this bike up, and in this video I'm going to show you how you can add street legal lights to your bike in very short order. There are several complete Enduro kits that you can buy for these bikes and put on them, and they're pretty much plug and play. And so if that's something you want to do and you don't want to mess with any custom wiring, obviously that's an easy choice for you. I chose not to do that because I don't like the big black fender that goes on the back, and I wanted to retain my stock tail light. And I also wanted to add a few extra switches to the bike. So let me do a walk around and show you what I added to the bike, and then I'll get into the parts that you're going to need to do this project. Up here on the handlebars, I added a multi-function switch, high-low beam light, turn signals, and a horn. On the right-hand side of the handlebars, I condensed my start and kill switch into a single switch to take care of that. And then underneath here, I added a keyed switch so that I can turn the bike on and off, and I don't have to worry about somebody stealing the bike. On the back of the bike, I retained the stock brake light, added turn signals to it, and a license plate light to the back. Both my front and rear brakes activate the brake light, and this is really a project that anybody can do in just a day, but there's a couple really sticky points in the wiring that are going to give you some trouble, and hopefully with this video I'll help you out and make this a quick and easy project for you if you want to do a custom kit on your bike. So keep watching and let's go over the parts you're going to need to do this job. Quickly go through them. One of the first things you're going to need, unless you're really handy with wiring and you want to spend a lot of time on it yourself, is you're going to need a universal wire harness. This is nice because you wire it to the battery and it already has everything wired out for your, stubbed out for your blinkers, for your tail light, for your headlight, all the different components that you're going to need to make your bike street legal and make it safe. And they're already all contained in this. This is from Tusk. There are several other companies that make them, but this is the one that I chose to order. Again, I'll post a link to it. I wanted my headlight to be high beam, low beam, and I wanted blinkers on my bike. In the state of Texas where I live, they're not required, but for the safety factor, I wanted blinkers, and you are required to have a horn. So I had to order a universal switch there for all of that. You guys know on a WR450 it's got a start button and a kill button on either side of the handlebar. Because I'm rewiring part of that, I wanted to incorporate those two together. So from Sick Ass Racing, I ordered this dual switch. So it's the start button and the kill button. That'll go on my brake side, my right hand side handlebar. Don't want anybody stealing my bike, so I ordered a keyed switch for it. The nice thing about this switch, this is the one that comes from Sick Ass Racing, is that it plugs into the original wiring harness and it retains your low fuel light and your original switch so that you can keep those things in place. Blinkers, rather. These are replacement blinkers that go in their handguards, but I'm going to modify the handguards that I have so that these will fit in it, and I'll have my front blinkers there. These are the rear blinkers that I'm going to put on, just small low profile blinkers that will go on the back. You're going to need a horn. Now you can buy this you know, from one of the motorcycle places, or you can just go down to the auto parts store and get yourself a horn. You're going to need a blinker for LED or a flasher for LED blinkers. Got that one from Tusk. And then the final two things that I got, I wanted both my front and rear brake to activate the brake light, not just one or the other. Most places only require one. So if you just need one, probably the best one is to wire the rear brake. This screws into the hydraulics of your brake system, plugs into your light system, and will activate the rear brake. And then this one, of course, from Baja Designs, is just a 90-degree one that goes in there for your front brake. So a couple more things you're going to need to finish this job. The stock headlight only has 2 wires attached to it. The easiest way to fix that is with this Dorman high temp headlight wiring kit. We got this at Autozone, so you can see the part number there. You're going to need some bullet connectors for the wires that you end up having to splice together. And while you're at the auto parts store, go ahead and pick up yourself up some .4 brake fluid to refill your brake reservoirs once you put those switches onto them. And then finally, Texas requires you to have a license plate light, and so you can order any one you want. This just happens to be one I ordered off Amazon.com. It goes over top the license plate, actually behind it, and that'll give me my license plate light. First thing you're going to want to do when you get ready to start this job is remove all the plastics from your bike. Then go ahead and take your universal wiring harness, figure out which end is the front, which end is the back. It comes with a very good diagram that shows you where each of the wires stubs out. And go ahead and route that from your battery area through your bike and out the front end of the bike up here, and stub it out, and then have the back end stubbed out back here so that you got your wiring ran. And then go ahead and mount your accessories. The stuff from Sick Ass Racing, the on and off switch, and the key switch right here. They are plug and play, they're bike specific. It gives you very good instructions. You just unplug the old switches, take them off your handlebars, mount the new ones, mount your key switch, plug them in, and you're good to go. In order to get your brake light to work, you've got to wire in a hydraulic switch either to your front brake or to your back brake, or both. This universal wiring harness that I'm using is actually wired for both. You don't have to use both, but if you want to, you can. And the way this works, the switch right here is a 90-degree switch. It replaces what's called the banjo bolt right here on the back of your brake reservoir. So you take this bolt out, you replace it with this, screws in there, and then these two plugs right here plug into your wiring harness. All right, starting right up here on the front of the bike, there's a lot going on up here. You're going to use your stock headlight assembly and your stock bulb. There's no need to replace that unless you just want to go LED. But what you are going to take off there is the stock plug. If you see right here, these two wires right here were my original headlight wires. The blue is the positive. The two little black wires right there are the negative. And so I had to cut this off in order to get power to the Tusk switch. Although the horn has power going to it and the blinkers have power going to it, for whatever reason they didn't wire that switch so that it had power going to the light. And so you have to use your power from your old headlight right here to run to that. And the way this is wired up, this is the Dorman headlight plug that's got high and low beam. If you come out of it, this harness right here runs up to the switch on the handlebars, and it's got 3 wires coming out of it. Well, it's got more than that, but most of the wires go to this plug right here. Then it has 3 loose wires, a black, a white, and a blue. The blue wire wires up to the red wire on the Dorman plug. The white wire wires up to the green wire on the Dorman plug. And then right here is where you have to kind of get creative to get power to your switch. So the blue wire, or the power wire from your headlight, is going to wire to the black wire on your wiring harness for the switch. And then the ground wire is going to wire to the ground on your Dorman headlight plug. So you're going to wire black to black coming out of your original headlight plug or headlight wires, black to black here, and then on this side, blue to black going up into the switch, and that will get your headlight going. Everything else up front right here plugs in at the front. The headlight flasher plugs in to its own plug. There is a green and red wire that are already have the ends on it for your horn. I just mounted mine, the horn and the flasher relay right there to a little bolt, so they're out of the way and they're good and secure. And then you've got left and right turn signals and the neutral wire in between them that plugs together. And then the final thing you need to know up front up here is these 2 red wires that come out. If you look at the wiring diagram that comes with the Tusk harness, it shows that this is supposed to go to a switch. So in other words, that switch, the back and the battery compartment is wired direct to the battery, and then you're supposed to have a switch up here that turns all your lighting system on or off. Well, I didn't want to add another switch to my handlebars, so I'm going to show you how to get around that. So the way I'm doing this, I'm just wiring these. I just plugged them together right up front up here and made a loop, and I'll show you what I'm going to use to control the on and off for my lights back in the battery compartment. All right, I've got my stock tail light still on. I've got the blinkers wired up. I've got a license plate light that's on order. I'm just going to wire it in over here to the original tail light wires right here. I'm not using those anymore, so I'm just going to clip these off and wire that to my license plate light. So it's already stubbed out for that. This is the original wiring coming from the tail light. It's got 3 wires on it. I put connectors on it, and then I cut off the connector on the wiring harness and wired these up. So the blue wire coming from your tail light is going to wire to the red, and then the yellow and the black wire you're going to have to play with to see, because both of these wires coming out of the wire harness are black. One controls your tail light, one controls your brake light, and there's really no way to tell which without a voltmeter, or just plug them in, see which way it works, swap it out. But anyway, that's what that's going to look like. So that goes to your tail light. Over here, same as up front, the color scheme's the same. You've got left and right turn signals, and the ground is just wired together here in the middle. Then I've got my brake switch. This goes down to the hydraulic switch that is wired into the brake system. And then coming on up to the front up here, the last 2 things you've got left are your main power wires. Now, if you just wire these in to the battery, then your tail light is going to be on all of the time, because remember, I wired those 2 wires up front together that are supposed to be switched. So the way you're going to get around that is up front up here, there's 2 relays. One is the starter cutoff relay, the other is the headlight relay. And the headlight relay on mine is the one that has, it's got a red wire up top, blue wire in the middle, and then blue and yellow wires at the back here. The blue wire in the middle of this relay is the headlight, so that when this relay kicks on, it kicks on the headlight on the bike. And what I did, I just took that little connector out of there. I took the relay off, used a little small screwdriver I had, and got the plastic out of the way and pulled this connector out. And then I wired my power wire into where this blue wire goes for the headlight relay. So when I turn the bike off up here on the switch, so when I turn this off, it's going to kill power to everything, because it's going to kill the power to this relay, which disconnects the power to the lighting system, which shuts down the bike completely. And so I don't have to worry about having another switch on my bike just to turn the lights on and off. That relay is going to control it. It's already on the bike. I didn't have to buy into the relay. I just had to tap into it right there, and that's going to give me power. Now, you need to know that the headlight, when you turn the power on right here, your headlight doesn't automatically come on. The headlight doesn't come on until the bike starts running. And so none of your lights are going to work until the bike starts running and that relay kicks in or trips, and then it'll power up all your lights. All right, so here the bike is all put back together, and I'll go over how everything functions now that it's all wired in. The way I wired this in, I retained all the factory switches and things, so the factory power switch down here still works. If I turn that on, that powers up the bike, but it doesn't power up the wiring harness yet, because that relay only kicks in once the bike starts. So the headlight, horn, turn signals aren't powered up yet. Because I've got a keyed switch over here and the key is off. The start button is still disabled. This switch acts as if the start button, the kill switch is depressed and the start button is disabled, so that when the key is off, you can't start the bike. Even though it still powers up here, you couldn't even kick start the bike with the key off. If I turn the key on, Once I start the bike, that's going to power up all the lights and everything, and it'll all start running then. Now that I've turned the bike off, in order to kill the power to the lighting system, the only thing I have to do is kill the main power to the bike. I don't have to flip any extra switches, and everything powers down. That relay powers down, and you don't have to worry about your battery draining. I hope this video has been informative to you. Maybe it's shown you how you go about wiring your bike up and saved you some time. I appreciate you watching, and please subscribe.